Welcome back. It's Mickey Mikeworth, and I'm glad that you and I get to hang out today. Today, we're going to talk about something called clipping, and it's a prosperity concept that is really helpful. So you will see this in three different classes. You'll see me talk about this in our prosperity classes. You'll see me talk about this in time management seminars, and you'll hear me talk about this in the 12-week year, which is understand clipping. Now, clipping has a pro and a con as a concept, and clipping is exactly like it sounds. In fact, I brought a little clipping to this today to go, for those of you who garden or those of you who have plants, you know you have to clip this. And that's the pro. When you have something that's growing, it will need to be trimmed because if it's growing healthy, you've got to manage it. So many of you have built this life that has this abundance in it, and it's so rich and it's so whatever. Sometimes it's too big. Sometimes it's too much, and we have to go back in and shape it. So when you're looking at clipping, I want you to think about just exactly this plant. I mean, I got like 20 of these off this plant today because it's so happy in my window. It's so happy. And you might be happy too, but sometimes means that you need a little more shape, that you need a little more whatever. So the pro part of clipping is when things are getting abundant and big, a little bit too big, we actually need to take something away for it to retain its health. So sometimes clipping is cutting things out of your life that actually don't need to be there. That yes, you can do them, but they don't actually help you in root, right? So in rooting, right, being of root, it doesn't actually help you gain depth and strength, right? You don't want these long spindly strands of a plant. You want a healthy, thick, luscious plant. So part of what you want to do in the pro side of clipping is you want that abbreviation in there. You want that little portion to be removed so it's a little tighter, so that your time is a little tighter, that your money is a little tighter, that your relationships are a little tighter, right? You're going to use clipping as a tool. And clipping is usually just managing something so that it can get just tighter. So when you think about clipping, it's okay, I'm going to do that. Now, the dark side of that moon is that a lot of people are clipping in the wrong way, that they are clipping because they're trying to steal time from one thing to the next, that they are trying to multitask, that they're fragmenting, that they are always fixing and trying to tack something together. And in the end, what will happen, I don't know a good way to say this other than half-assing, right? That a lot of things are half-assed, that you just do them and that it's not great, and that everything ends up to be this. And all of you who are high achievers, it will drive you crazy to have things always kind of cocked together at the last minute, that it doesn't feel polished, it doesn't feel full, and that you can only do that so many times before you start to get depressed about it. So if you are using clipping as a survival tool that is constantly just not getting finished, it's not done, I started it, I didn't put it down, I only did this much of it, I can't even look at it, that there is just, it's just always a mess. For those of you who are clipping in the con way, yeah, and it's just not, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's every unfinished project that you have, that you've clipped short, that you've clipped it. And what I'm saying is that the point of clipping is to shape something into a positive item. So you can use that clipping method is to say, what are the small pieces, what are the little portions of time I need to give something? Let me give that. Let me crop out what isn't needed in this picture. So when you're thinking about the healthy status, you might not need 26 friends over every Tuesday night, or you might not need to have a YouTube date every day for an hour. You may only you may look at what do I need to shape in my life. So when you're thinking about clipping, I wrote it down. When you're thinking about clipping, you can also look at it like chipping, right? But clipping is really to say, look, I'm going to I'm going to figure out how I can portion, how I can put an abbreviation. How am I using clipping? If you're using it in the dark side where you're constantly leaving stuff unfinished, that you've clipped it short, or that you're stealing time from one thing to give to another, you need to look at it. And you need to look at it to give it its own time, to give it its own outcome, to give it its own process, to not always be cutting it short. And many of you are clipping on your personal care. Hmm. Many of you are clipping on you. And I'm not in on that. I'm in on you giving you the time before you give to anyone. And I think if you are someone that clips your own time and your own benefit and your own health first so that you can provide for everyone else, it's not the only shape that you're going to get out of that is something that is curtailed and a mess. So you don't need to be last all the time, especially if you're leading. If you're leading, you have to be first so that you can lead more effectively. So thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for talking about clipping with me. And thank you for taking the time to hold the light to yourself, to hold the light to yourself and what you're doing. Because using small changes that start mixing together more efficiently, it doesn't take very long for them to start working and for you to start feeling better. And when I think about prosperity mindset, the number one thing I think about is that you will feel better because you will take better care of yourself. And if you are willing to take better care of yourself, you are now capable of taking better care of yourself. And then you can choose if you want to care for other people. But the more you practice taking care of yourself, the better care you will take of yourself. And that's the full equation. That's enough. So taking care of yourself and taking good care, taking very good care of yourself is doing a lot of very simple tasks. It's making sure that you have enough income. It's making sure that you have access to healthcare. It's making sure that you have safe housing. There are many things that you don't want to clip short and that you do want to make sure that you are shaping the life that cares for you the very best. And that's powerful. And that is my wish for you. My wish for you is that you'll take all of these lessons in prosperity and love yourself with them in whatever way works, because that's the goal. That's why you and I are together. That's why we're hanging out, is because you get to have a wonderful life. And so do I. And if we can both have a wonderful life, we can both do what we really want to in the world. And that is to love openly and safely, that it will be safe to love and safe to love ourselves, and it's safe to love each other. It's safe to love other people. So thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. And I will see you around. If you have other things that you are thinking about for clipping, I love it. But I'd love to hear how you're clipping your time short and how you are shaping the world that you want, shaping what you want, clipping time out of something. Again, I always tell people clip time out of your social media and then give that clipping to grow something else. So all of the time that people are wasting devouring all of that content, me included, all of that time was not living the other things that you do in your life. And that's a critical part. You have to give as much time to yourself as you're giving to everybody else, especially when it comes to things like social media or binge watching or whatever. Are you giving yourself that same amount of time? And yeah, that's it. So I will see you soon. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here. It is always, always, I'm always happy to see you. Have a great day.